The next commands we're going to go over are trim and extend. You can find them here in the Modify tab of the ribbon. Here's the trim, and if you use the drop-down button, you can also get the extend. So we'll start with the extend command. So I'm simply going to click on it, and if you read the command line below, it's asking for the boundary edge. So what do you want to extend to, not the object that you want to extend. So you need to, again, be careful and make sure you're reading your command line. So it wants you to select the boundary. So you need to have an object or a line, a construction line, something as a reference of what you want to extend this line to or your object to, or else it will not extend. So in this example, I'm going to select this line as my boundary edge. And as you can see, I'm still in this selection mode, so I'm going to hit enter. And now my command line reads select object to extend. So now what is the line or object that I want to reach this boundary that I just selected? So now I'm going to click this line here, and you can see it automatically extended up. And so if I had multiple lines, I'm still in this selection mode, so I could select multiple lines if I had multiples, or I could have used my crossing window and selected multiple objects at once. But since that's the one line I had, I am done, and then I'll just hit right click or hit enter to finish the extend command. You can also activate the command on the command line by typing EX, and you will get the same prompts. Now for trim, we're going to click trim, and now it's asking again to select the cutting edge. So you do need a line or object to select that you want to trim to. So I'm going to use this circle over here as a cutting line, and I'm also going to use this line as a cutting line, and then I'm going to hit enter, and now it says to select the objects to trim. So what are the lines that I want to cut off and at these points? So I'm going to select this little portion here and this little portion here. And so now it perfectly cut those lines at the intersection points of these two objects. So now I'm done with that command. I'm going to hit enter. Now in both those cases, the line extended beyond the cutting plane, but in this case I'm going to demonstrate that I'm going to use this line to trim this longer line, even though it just has an intersection point and it does not cross all the way through. So I'm going to trim again, select the cutting edge is now going to be this short line, hit enter, and then I'm going to click on this line. So as long as the two objects intersect, you can use the trim command. If the trim command does not work, then your lines or objects possibly are not intersecting. So the next command we're going to go over is the stretch command. So you can do that a couple ways. If you click on an object, you will see these blue boxes appear. Those are called grips. You can simply click on one of the grips. It will turn red as it's highlighted, and you can simply drag your line in any direction and you can click, or if you have a specific dimension you could type it in and then hit enter and it will extend that distance. So that's one way to stretch. You can stretch multiple objects at once using the grips. If you select and highlight the grips first, so I'm going to hit shift and click on that one and shift again and click on that grip. And now I'm going to click one more time on this last grip to activate it, and now you can see it's stretching both lines. And if I want them both to extend, let's say 2 inches, now I extended both of them together. So that's another way to stretch. Then if you use the stretch command, it's here on your ribbon. Now again, it's asking you to select the objects to stretch by a crossing window. So again, from our lesson of selection, you can use your crossing window like this. The main point in the stretch command is to select the endpoints of an object that you want stretched. Now that I clicked and selected those objects, I can hit enter or right click. And again, base point, I'm going to use my snaps, and I'm going to stretch from this point, endpoint, to the midpoint. And as you can see, it stretched both of those points. Now I'm going to demonstrate if I did not select both of those endpoints. So I'm going to hit stretch again. Now if I made my crossing window and I only selected down here, let me demonstrate what would happen. You see, it only will move the points that were within that crossing window. And since I did not select the entire line, this portion of the line stayed pinned in place. So again, it's just something to be careful of when you're using these commands and your selection windows, to make sure you select everything that you want stretched. You can also type S in the command line to activate the command for stretch, and it asks for the corner because it's asking for crossing window, so you can do that as well and use the command the same way. So that's the stretch command. So another command that is commonly used is the offset command, which basically is copying an object a certain distance. So here's the command on the ribbon. So I'm going to activate the command. It's asking to specify the distance of how much do you want to copy or offset the object. So I'm just, for demonstration, I'm going to put 1, and now it's asking to select the object to offset. So I'm going to show the circle. So you highlight the object, and now it on the command line is reading specify the point on the side to offset. So you need to tell it which way to go. So for a circle, it could be on the outside or the inside. But because this is a small circle, I'm going to go to the outside. So all I need to do is click somewhere off in space in the direction of the outside of this circle. And what it did was it drew a circle that is exactly 1 inch larger than this circle. Now, if I wanted to offset a line, I'm still in the offset command. I have not exited out. It will keep that distance that I typed in. So I can select another object and offset it also that same distance of 1. So again, I selected the line, and again it's asking me which side to offset. So I can go up or down. So I'm going to go down, and that I just offsetted 1. And I could repeat this command over and over by just clicking on different objects if my offset distance is set and I want everything offset 1. Once I'm done, I can just hit enter, and I'm done with the offset command. Now I have all these pretty lines, and I want it exactly the same, mirrored over the center line of this circle. So we're going to show you the mirror command. The mirror command is right here in the command line, and basically, like it says here, it's going to make a mirror copy of the objects I select over an imaginary plane, or it could be an actual line or object in your drawing. Okay, so we're going to activate the command here, mirror, and so it's asking down here, what objects would you like to mirror over? So I'm going to use my crossing window and select these lines here. Okay, so as you can see, it says 7 found. I'm going to hit enter. Now it's asking, what's the first point of your mirror line? So where is this imaginary plane that you want this to be flipped or mirrored over? So like I said, I'm going to use the center of this circle, which, as you can see, there is no center mark. So this is where your O snaps will come in handy. So if you make sure your O snaps are on, and you can type in your O snap for center. And I'm just hovering over the circle, and you can now see my snap goes right to the center of that circle. So now I'm going to click, and I have my ortho on, which is critical for the mirror command in this case. And now I just need to drag my mouse up, and as you can see, it gives me an idea of what my mirror will look like. And I'm just going to click, and then it's asking, do you want to erase these objects or keep them the same? So I'm just going to hit no. And so now it just mirrored the lines that I selected. So it's perfectly symmetrical from the center of this circle, since that's what I chose. So now let me demonstrate again. One more time. Type MI for mirror on the command line, or you can use the button. I'm going to select just these lines this time. Hit enter. I'm going to use this line as my mirror line for this case. So I'm just going to use my O snaps again, here and here. Do I want to erase the objects? I'm just going to hit yes for this demonstration so you can see what happens. And so it mirrored those lines down. It deleted the originals because I said yes, and now this is exactly where they were above this line, but now it's mirrored down. So that's the mirror command. And now another command that's used not very frequently, but it is used, is the rotate command. So I'm just going to demonstrate that. So rotate, you can select an object and then hit enter. The base point is, again, basically the pivot point of where you want to rotate this object from. So I'm going to use the end point here. And because my ortho is on, I'm limited to only rotating it at 90-degree increments. But if I wanted it a little more free form, I could turn my ortho off using F8, and now I can rotate freely. Okay. If I had a reference point on my drawing, let's say like this, that you can see my O snap is snapping to, I can use those as references for it to snap without having to do any math. So that is the rotate command. You can also rotate it using the center point of itself. So I'm going to use the midpoint. And again, you can see now that's its pivot point. And again, I could rotate it freely, or I could use ortho and make it perpendicular to itself. But you notice the original line got erased, so to speak. It's because you're actually taking that object and you're rotating it. You're not making a copy of it. So just keep that in mind. If you want the original line to stay, you're going to have to draw two lines, one on top of each other, or have a construction line that stays there so that when you rotate it, you'll still have that construction line of where you started, the base, as a reference if you need it. So those are the modification commands.